Hello mortals, I'm Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black, and I'm telling you all to bask in my radiance and subscribe to UnrealEntGaming. Please do remember to turn on notifications to be the first to know about the latest in Dragon Ball news and information. And if you don't, well, then I'll destroy the entire universe.
The concept of Gogeta being introduced within the world of Dragon Ball has been an ongoing topic for many months now following the reintroduction of Vegito in Dragon Ball Super, but what if Vegito wasn't the one brought back within the world of Dragon Ball to fight Zamasu, but instead it was Gogeta? On today's video, myself and DevilArtemis are going to be discussing a what-if scenario focusing on Gogeta and if he was introduced within the world of Dragon Ball Super, replacing Vegito to battle against Zamasu instead. And again, if you guys are new to this channel, be sure to go on ahead and punch that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a Dragon Ball video is posted onto this channel. Hashtag notification squad to be up to date with all the latest in Dragon Ball. Welcome back onto the channel, Artemis. Now, Gogeta is going to be the center of attention here today. So what I wanted to ask you here right from the start is, how different do you think things would have been, in your opinion, if Gogeta happened to replace Vegito to fight Zamasu? The first concept I wanted to talk about here is the fusion time. Now, do you believe that, in your personal opinion, Gogeta's fusion time would have lasted longer and been more sufficient than the Potara's retconned timer?
Well, are we going to go ahead and consider the fact that Gogeta has Super Saiyan Blue against?
Yes, Super Saiyan Blue is indefinite.
All right, so the normal fusion time for a fusion is about, I think, like 30 minutes, right?
Right,
30 minutes.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, so a fusion normally lasts 30 minutes, and I think, like, let's take the strongest version of Gogeta that's been shown, and that's Super Saiyan 4. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, his fusion lasted about 15 minutes in Dragon Ball GT, like around 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, so his fusion time only lasted that. If we're considering that Super Saiyan Blue is going to be an insanely strong amount of power, like an immense amount of power that Gogeta is going to be using, how long Gogeta can actually last against Zamasu, I think that Gogeta would probably last longer than Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. I know Super Saiyan Blue Vegito is stronger than Gogeta, so that's probably the case as to why Gogeta would last longer. It was already confirmed that the Potaras are a stronger fusion than the Dance in the series.
But do you believe that the Metamories fusion would add any sort of stable factor onto the fusion itself in terms of lasting longer? Because I think that, looking at it like from a general standpoint, we saw in the manga that before Vegito can even fire off a final Kamehameha, he defused based on all the power that he was emitting. And we saw in the anime version, he fired off the final Kamehameha, in which, according to Gowasu, drained a lot of his fusion time away. So in the realm of time, in the realm of having to be sustained and pretty much lasting in this overall fight, do you believe that Gogeta would indefinitely last longer than Vegito? Or do you believe that, similar to Vegito's case, maybe they just become so strong for even the Metamories Dance to, sustain them together? Or do you believe that, in your opinion, similar to the concept of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, they may not make it to 30 minutes, but they might make it around like the 10-15 minute mark? What do you think?
I think Gogeta would definitely last at least like 10 to 15 minutes, and if he doesn't let his personality get in the way,
right,
where he's goofy and stuff, I think Gogeta might actually last longer than Vegito. It seems to me that in Dragon Ball as a whole, the concept of time is used for specific forms. So, for example, Super Saiyan 3, when Goku used Super Saiyan 3, he used up all his time on Earth with the amount of ki that he was using.
Yes.
And then as for Vegito, he released so much ki that his form automatically, defused. I feel that the fusion dance, depending on how much ki you use, shortens the amount of time, but I don't think it would automatically defuse you depending on how much ki you output. You get what I'm saying? Right. I feel that's more of a Vegito thing and like a Super Saiyan 3 thing. But I feel like the fusion dance, there's no limit as to how much ki you can output, but there is a time limit depending on how much ki you use, if you understand what I'm saying, in a transformed state. So a Super Saiyan 3 fusion would have a shorter fusion time than a standard base form fusion. If you catch my drift, depending on how much ki you're using to maybe transform or you keep the transform state up, the stronger the character itself is. So if Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is 10 to 15 minutes, I think Super Saiyan Blue is stronger than Super Saiyan 4, in my opinion. So I would maybe consider the Gogeta form to maybe last 5 to 10 minutes, around anywhere around there in Super Saiyan Blue form, and he can output as much ki as he wants. And I'd be okay with that as long as Gogeta doesn't fool around and gets the job done. Again, he has that move, Soul Punisher?
Stardust Breaker. He has that,
yes,
of course.
Yeah. He can use that technique which destroys all evil, right? He can use that and throw that at Merge Zamasu and bam. Because I mean, Merge Zamasu is the epitome of evil. He has this sense fucked up version of justice that he wants to eliminate everybody. So that would immediately just fuck Zamasu up. And I mean, he can't block that. That's something that directly attacks the soul.
I think that looking at it from a timer standpoint, I would agree in saying that I think that Gogeta would probably outlast Vegito, but not by much. I really think that it'll boil down to minutes. And that all goes back to the Potara retcon and understanding the fact that it is limited to an hour, unless you're a Kaioshin or whatnot. So I'm guessing that me and you can agree that the fusion time would be a bit longer, which can help them out in any given case. But going back to what you just said, in terms of power, do you believe that Gogeta would have done a better job at holding off Merge Zamasu or potentially killing him, given the fact that in the anime he was having difficulty with his fusion having to be worn off in a way, having his fusion be unstable because of the Goku Black essence in his body, whereas opposed to the manga adaptation he was perfectly fine. But going based on the anime alone, do you think that Gogeta would have provided enough firepower to put him down for the count as opposed to Vegito, or do you believe that the outcome would have been the same in Merge Zamasu ultimately surviving? Because even with the final Kamehameha, taking that to the face, I really doubt that the Big Bang Kamehameha would have any effect either, because if the final Kamehameha didn't do anything, and legit it didn't do anything, if that attack did nothing, then I don't think the Big Bang Kamehameha would do anything either. But going back to what you said about the Stardust Breaker, in your opinion, using that, would that be the final nail in the coffin? Or do you believe that Merge Zamasu would ultimately even survive that? Because I think that, in my opinion, Gogeta would have had the same end result as Vegito in terms of dishing out damage, because again, Zamasu, it took the Omni King twice in the manga and in the anime to erase him completely. So I think that even if by some chance the Stardust Breaker does work in destroying his physical body, I'm sorry to say, if we're going to revert to his essence surrounding the entire world, that might prove to be a big threat for him. Or even if we want to go based on the manga and he clones himself 1,000 times over, I mean, either way they're finished. I don't think that Gogeta can kill Merge Zamasu entirely, especially with that little time given. But in your opinion, what do you believe the outcome would have been if Gogeta were to emit that power against Merge Zamasu?
Well, at the end of the day, they both have the similar outcome that I think Vegito can body Merge Zamasu. He can play him. Like he can make Merge Zamasu his bitch, just how we were seeing in the anime. I think Vegito has that capability. I think Gogeta, even though he's weaker than Vegito, would also have that capability to just shut down Merge Zamasu.
Right.
The only problem is I think that comparing their abilities, Gogeta has a completely different style of fighting than Vegito does. I mean, Vegito has the final Kamehameha and his Spirit Sword. But he doesn't have the aspect of destroying. He doesn't have the ability to destroy a soul the way that Gogeta has been seen to do. He has destroyed Janemba, who was the very embodiment of all evil in hell, non-canon wise, anyways. Right? In HFIL, Gogeta used his technique to completely erase Janemba. But you saw that the human inside Janemba that was being controlled by all the inner. Exactly, he was still alive. So it's obvious that Gogeta has the ability to manipulate souls or manipulate some kind of existence of an individual. So the fact that Vegeta knows that Zamasu's immortal and then Goku Black isn't immortal, he can use that technique, the Stardust Breaker, to completely destroy Zamasu's soul. He doesn't necessarily have to destroy his body. I don't think it's in terms of Zamasu being immortal that he can't be killed, but his soul is not immortal. A soul can't be immortal. It doesn't matter if he's immortal. You can see the Omni King can erase someone who's immortal. It doesn't matter. I feel like Gogeta's technique can definitely destroy Zamasu on the spot, soul-wise. We haven't really seen any other character in Dragon Ball who can erase a soul. You know what I'm saying? Who can destroy someone based on their...
And you're reflecting this and basing this off of the Stardust Breaker, correct?
Yeah, the Stardust Breaker or Soul. I think
Soul Punisher, maybe.
Is that Soul Punisher?
Well,
That's
Soul Punisher is well, actually, it has different variants, but Soul Punisher / Stardust Breaker is one and the same either way. But just pretty much referring back to the technique he used against Janemba.
The Rainbow Ball, right? That he throws it, and it doesn't matter if you block it; it goes in your chest.
But the only difference in that situation is Janemba wasn't an immortal, and that would have been a very interesting thing to see if Janemba were to survive that and come back, because we don't really know what the outcome would be if Gogeta were to pretty much do the same thing against Merge Zamasu, because Merge Zamasu's ideologies was what got in his way, and his bloodlust in destroying humanity is what clouded his judgment. But you're saying in terms of feats that he would be kind of on par with Vegito in kicking his butt, but when it comes down to that one technique, you definitively feel that it could possibly erase his soul. But even with that being said, let's say for example, if his spirit does fade away, would that be the end of Zamasu? Do you feel like that technique can kill him off? Because even with that being said, I personally feel that the outcome probably would have been the same. In the idea that maybe Gogeta takes the fight serious, he's beating him down, possibly even worse than how Vegito beat him down. And he's beating him down, and then even with that being said, he finally unleashes the Stardust Breaker or the Soul Punisher. He does that, but for some reason, I just can't see it being the definitive outcome in having Merge Zamasu's essence be destroyed fully, because it took the erasure of the entire universe for this being to be gone. Like, the Omni King erased everything from that timeline. There was nothing left. So do you believe that universal power is required to defeat him? Or do you believe that with such feats that Gogeta has, that would be more than enough to pretty much put him down for the count, in your opinion at least?
I mean, when it comes to terms about talking about that ability, right? The Soul Punisher, Stardust Breaker, that technique, we don't have, like I said before, we don't have any other character within the Dragon Ball universe who attacks the soul directly that way. I think the closest that I can probably think of is Devilman, where he uses the Devil Might Beam, but that's kind of based on your evil intent.
Yes.
If you're an evil individual, the evil inside you blows you up. But even then, I don't even think that's a soul thing. Gogeta's attack, it physically enters your body and destroys evil. Okay.
Right.
From your soul, okay? So it eliminates all evil. So because that boy who was being controlled by the Janemba essence in hell was pure of heart, it didn't kill him. We have to keep in mind that Merge Zamasu was half mortal. That's why he had that deformed, form. Half his body was deformed because of Goku Black. Goku Black is not immortal. Now we also have to realize that if they're fusing together, it's obvious that everything fuses. So Merge Zamasu's soul is also vulnerable to, because he's half mortal, it's also vulnerable to Gogeta's attack. I feel that Gogeta's attack might not be able to destroy Merge Zamasu's physical body, but it will probably leave like an empty shell, or like a body, a vessel with no soul. I feel like that would be Gogeta's ability because of that attack, that soul attack that he has.
Right.
That attack alone, and that's not even including its power if he were a Super Saiyan Blue, in a different form. This ability alone would probably be extremely overpowered. These are one of those abilities that it doesn't matter what transform state you are, they kind of have the same effect. So if Goku can fire off a Spirit Bomb, in his base form, but the Spirit Bomb really depends on how much energy people give you. You can have a universal Spirit Bomb. You can have a Spirit Bomb from everything on the planet. You can have a Spirit Bomb with the power of the trees and the living beings around you, right? We've seen 3 different variations of the Spirit Bomb, maybe more, in Dragon Ball. As a series as a whole, that's including GT, right? We've seen several variations. It doesn't matter what transform state he's in. The ability depends on what it is. Like, Spirit Bomb is as strong as the energy it gets from people. I feel this Stardust Breaker, this Soul Punisher technique, it doesn't matter what form Gogeta's in, it destroys evil. It destroys evil. That's the ability, that's the power of the move that he uses. So if he throws it at Zamasu and Zamasu can't block it because it just goes directly into your soul, you know what I'm saying? How the hell is he supposed to stop that? You know? To be immortal is to not be able to get, you know, injured, not to be able to die. You can heal, you know. Zamasu still gets injured, he just heals, you know.
But what about his personality? Because I feel like here's the difference between Gogeta and Vegito. Vegito, when he fought Buu, was very overconfident. He was very arrogant because he knew going into this he needed to get absorbed to save everybody's life, you know?
Right.
And I think that going into his fight with Zamasu, he was entirely different. He was. And the reason why I say that is because early on, when he first was introduced, yes, he was cocky. He said, come on, Mr. God, why don't you show me what you got? But even as the fight progressed, you get to clearly see, it's very evident, that Vegito was getting very serious. After the final Kamehameha is when things got really hot. And then he started punching Zamasu and he was saying, what's the matter? Is my speed too much for you? Is my speed too much for a god? And then he, you know, unleashed the final Kamehameha. That failed. He used instant transmission. He teleported in front of Zamasu and he cocked all his energy into his fist. And he was like, it's over. And he was gonna just, you know, just drywall him. And then he separated. So I think that with Gogeta, his personality, if he's that strong, may get in the way. But in your opinion, would you say that Gogeta would take the fight more serious than Vegito? Or, similar to how we saw in GT as opposed to Dragon Ball Z's non-canon film, do you think that he may completely goof around and having fun with him? Or would he flat out, right from the get-go, go in and just try to cinder block him to death? What do you think?
Well, I feel like those three different characters, Vegito, Gogeta from the movie, and Gogeta from GT, all have different personalities.
Right.
It's obvious that Vegito from the Buu Saga, his dominant personality is Vegeta. It's obvious. He's really cocky, but he doesn't stop fighting.
No,
you know, he's still fighting. He's still in a way, he's trying to embarrass his opponent, but he's still fighting in a way. Gogeta from the movies, he is very quiet, very serious. He doesn't have that much screen time, so you can't really base too much off of him, but he seems very serious, and he just goes at Janemba, fucks him up, and then destroys his soul, right? So, and at the end, I mean, he cracks a smile at the end, but that's it. Gogeta in GT messes around with the opponent. He's a prankster. You know, he fires his Kamehameha wave, and it's not even an actual Kamehameha wave. Coming out, yeah. It's confetti. You know, Gogeta is a class clown in GT, and that's a completely different personality that we didn't get to see in the movies, because in the movies, either it's because of time limit, you know, the character only appeared at the end, he had little screen time, you know, they didn't want to develop his character too much, whatever. In GT, we get to see that Gogeta is a complete clown. So the fact, if it were based off personality, I think Vegeta would be more reliable to get the job done at the end of the day, because Vegeta is a dominant personality and he might mess around and embarrass Zamasu, but at the same time, he knows when to get shit done. He doesn't play pranks on the opponent. That's gonna be Gogeta's downfall. Gogeta's downfall is definitely his personality. He plays too many jokes.
I think that going into this, Gogeta would have been suitable, I think. I mean, same thing as Vegito, but I just feel like with Gogeta's personality from the movie, that would have been very fitting to see, because he was dead serious in the film.
Right.
And
with the movie,
Zamasu
Gogeta
was dead serious in the show. Zamasu, when he fought, you know, Vegito, he told him, he's like, don't get cocky, don't get overconfident. He was giving him a hard time. And, you know, even then, with Zamasu having to use his energy blade and whatnot, and Vegito having to counter and using his spirit sword, it was a very back and forth kind of thing. And I also feel in this situation, if Gogeta was 100% serious and committed as he was in the film, this probably wouldn't be a one-sided fight. Well, it actually would be a one-sided fight, because I can see Gogeta dominating Zamasu completely, but not being able to kill him. I'm sorry. It's just my opinion. I don't think that Vegito or Gogeta, as of, you know, now, possess any sort of ability or universal-like power to destroy not just Zamasu's vessel, because even, let's say, if Gogeta or Vegito destroy Zamasu's vessel and they kill off his physical body, what about his spiritual essence that spread throughout the entire universe and even who started going into different timelines? That's how much of an effect this guy had. And
but what if Gogeta, but see, that's the thing, I said the opposite. I don't think that Gogeta can kill Zamasu's body, because Zamasu's immortal.
Right.
But Gogeta does not attack from his movie counterpart. Doesn't attack from doesn't need to anyway. Destroy Zamasu's body. If he can destroy Zamasu's soul, if he can destroy the evil essence within Zamasu, which is mortal as well because of Goku Black.
But even seeing that in the show, we saw how even his quote-unquote soul was eternal as well, because after his body was destroyed, in which, you know, without a vessel you can't function, he was still present. I mean, yeah, right. Don't you think that if his body were to be destroyed, his very being that kept him alive would also go? But no, it manifested itself onto the surface, and he was everywhere. Like, legit, he was everywhere. As opposed to the manga, he got blown into pieces, and he told everyone, he was like, you just can't kill me. Like, you just can't. Until he saw the Omni King, and he crapped himself, and he tried to fly away, and Zeno erased every little bit of him. So by the end of it, I think that, depending on which personality we're using here, if it's the movie variation of Gogeta and he's very serious, this is just, it'll spell bad news for Zamasu. Absolute bad news, because he
movie variation,
he would beat him down completely, but he won't kill him. If this is Dragon Ball GT's Gogeta's personality, we're in trouble, because I can see him kicking Zamasu around, punching Zamasu around, and saying, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be like an almighty immortal? Like, what's going on? You're losing to a Ningen," and so I can see him clowning and just not more or less harming Zamasu's physical body, but damaging his pride a lot. Exactly. Just damaging his pride. By the end of it, I don't know. It's a very hard thing to say, because Zamasu, depending on if you like him or hate him, either way, he was formidable in battle. But by the end of it, I'm guessing that yes, Gogeta would probably outlast Vegito in terms of time. In terms of power, he may not be as powerful as Vegito due to the Potara and the Metamori's fusion, but in terms of abilities like the Stardust Breaker and the Big Bang Kamehameha, the you know, all sorts of abilities that he has, it may fare him a little better. But any final words here before we go in pertains to Gogeta and Zamasu?
No, I mean, I personally am a very big fan of both fusions. I personally enjoy Gogeta. I like the whole serious tone that they really gave him within the movie. You know, I really enjoy Gogeta as a character. Vegito also very nostalgic to see him come back. I feel like Vegito is like a lot cooler version of Vegeta. You know, he has the cockiness and arrogance of Vegeta, but not too stuck up. He's a little bit more loose because of the Goku inside of him.
Right.
You know, so he is cocky. He has that Vegeta tone, but he has that soft side because of Goku. Gogeta is just a plain prankster. I'm a fan of both fusions, so hopefully, you know, everybody can let us know in the comments section what you guys think about Vegito and Gogeta. At the end of the day, we all enjoy the same series. Yeah. We all love these characters. We all grew up with these characters. Definitely. But yeah, man, thank you for having me on the channel, man.
Thank you for joining me. And guys, we are going to be doing more what if situations and scenarios, so make sure you guys tune back onto the channel for that. You guys can find more in the playlist below. Thank you all so much for watching, and Devil, thank you so much for joining me. If you guys are fans, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys, and turn on notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a Dragon Ball video is posted onto this channel. If you guys enjoyed the video and want to see more, slap a like on the video, guys. Also, check out and subscribe to DevilArtemis. I will leave a link to his channel down below. Thank you all guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a wonderful day, guys. Peace.